just want a show of hands. How many people in this room have been touched by cancer? Whether it be themselves, or a family member, or a good friend? It's a lot of people. My sister obviously was one of those people, and one of several people that I know have been touched by cancer. And one of the things we hear about Andrea is that she was an inspiration. She had a Caring Bridge page online, and people would write in her guest book, or they'd write on her Facebook page and say what an inspiration she was. And she was. We read those often, but Andrea inspired her friends, her family, people she never even met. Through her strength and determination, she was determined to beat pancreatic cancer, which is what she had. To those closest to Andrea, she was a loyal friend, a sister, a daughter, a wife, and a loving mother of a 4-year-old girl, Alexa. And she inspired us in many ways. Cancer never defined Andrea. She said this herself at last year's golf outing. And this was so true. She continued to live her life as normal normal could be with a diagnosis like pancreatic cancer. Normal was redefined after that diagnosis. She was diagnosed in May of 2008, and for those of you who spent time with her regularly, she was the same old Andrea, full of life, full of humor, and full of spunk. She continued to play softball, and she would jump all over any guy who got in her way in the base paths. It's actually pretty funny. She was not intimidated by any doctor, and she was always prepared for every appointment, sometimes knowing more about her condition than the doctors themselves. After her diagnosis and 2 major surgeries, including one where they removed her pancreas, she returned to work. Eventually, treatments took up too much of her time and energy to continue. She kept all of her social engagements, and if you know Andrea, that's a big deal. For those of you who don't know Andrea or only know her through this event, Andrea had more friends than anyone I know. I always said if you met Andrea for 5 minutes, she would make you her friend for life. And if you were lucky enough to be her friend, Andrea expected a lot from you because she gave so much of herself to everyone she cared about. She continued to travel everywhere with her family, to places like the Shore, the Outer Banks, Disney World, the Bahamas. Cancer never held her back from those things. She showed a tremendous amount of strength fighting pancreatic cancer. Andrea inspired us in other ways as well, though. Andrea taught us how to live life. Andrea lived life to the fullest before she was diagnosed with cancer, and she continued to live life to the fullest after her diagnosis. I now try my best every day to live my life to the fullest. I don't let the good things pass by without jumping in with both feet. Meeting up with friends, sitting in the backyard with my boys, taking an impromptu trip to the shore, just enjoying the sun and the breeze. I think many of us live much fuller lives now knowing that Andrea never wasted 1 second of hers. Here's an example of what I mean. Andrea made one final trip to the shore last September. She spent the night with my family. She needed a wheelchair. She couldn't stand. She was in a lot of pain at that time. My husband, my mother, myself, and Andrea made sure that that day could happen. She sat on the beach and she watched her daughter play in the ocean for the first time. She enjoyed an Italian hoagie on the beach, which was a big deal because she was on a very strict diet at this point, and she really didn't care at that point. She ate Mac and Manco's pizza. She had Core Brothers ice cream. She watched Alexa ride the rides on the boardwalk. Most people fit that into like a week's vacation. We did this in 26 hours. She said she was pain-free the entire time. She was still living her life while cancer was taking control of her body. And as I sat with her just days before she passed in late September of last year, she did her best to convince me that it wasn't the cancer causing her pain and that she would get better. She was still living. She was very grateful to the Careys sisters and everything they did for her family. I would take this opportunity to thank you guys, Lou, Trish, Nancy, Annie, for all the support that you gave to Andrea, to my brother-in-law, Chris, and to my niece, Alexa, Andrea's daughter. Careys Against Cancer has helped Andrea battle cancer her way. And last year she promised, this year she would return to the event. Last year she was in a wheelchair. This year she said she would be standing here in front of you. I truly believe she is here, standing beside me, proud of the way she battled, proud of the way she lived her life. Thank you to the Careys sisters for giving me this opportunity to speak on behalf of my sister, Andrea Corey. Thank you to all that you do for the people that battled their disease their way and continue to live their lives their way. Thank you.
Chris, Andrea was such an inspiration